This conference will now be recorded.
Let's rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to our crowd, Andy and MJ.
We're quality, not quality.
Well, that's exactly. MJ, why don't you come up? You're first on the agenda.
Do you want to approve minutes first then?
Yeah, please keep me in line. I'll take a motion to approve minutes from, do you have the dates of all the ones?
Right here.
They're on the agenda.
October of 2022, December of 22, and the organizational meeting of January 3rd.
And September.
Yeah,
2022.
September on the.
It's on the agenda.
It was, but you had already done, you've already approved
I thought we
September.
did September
Okay.
before.
It's on
Yeah,
So,
and you did the.
okay, off to the races.
Something with this seat.
All right, game on.
We'll let you know what we can do.
Now they've got me organized, now it's your turn.
Looking like a good time.
Well, I appreciate that. Great time.
So I'm here this evening representing the committee, the Local Enhancement and Advancement Fund. We had an emergency request by the town of North Elba for $73,000 for the warming hut at the Olympic Oval. The part of the application was, it was going to be a collaborative effort between the town of North Elba, the village of Lake Placid, and Roost, each contributing $13,000, and then the balance was requested from the LEAP fund, and we are recommending approval of that emergency application.
Needless to say, I'll go first. I'm certainly more than appreciative. I think it's a way that we as a group have recognized the community and its need for a warming shed over at the Oval. Is it finalized at its resting point? No. It's in a temporary position now to be put in a more permanent spot this spring after there's some more determination where that's going to work best. But we see that building as not only a warming hut, but hopefully will help, for instance, grandparents be able to watch their kids out there skating and just be a comfort zone, if you will, in some tough weather. Maybe even just parents watching their kids. So in any respect, thank you, MJ, for recognizing the importance of this community venture. Any further comments? All right.
Right.
Well, I won't say much because I was there, so.
Yeah. Certainly, you don't have to stay on a weather night like this. We appreciate you coming down. You're welcome every month. You know that.
Well, thank you very much.
You don't need an invitation.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Have a wonderful
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you
Thanks
very
very
much.
much.
Yeah. Don't go up, you may not want to go home going up Olympic Drive.
Oh, I'm not going to.
Go around. Go around.
Why, is it sticking and bad
Oh,
already?
it's sleep. It's
Wow.
freaking rain.
Well, I just came in.
It's
Like at
nasty.
5 o'clock, it was starting to get slick.
Wow.
Just,
Have a good night. Drive carefully.
Thanks, MJ.
Nice seeing you again.
Let's move to new business. Jason, you might as well bring us up to par with our solar permit. It sounds like we're,
yeah, the building department reviewed it and determined that, get back to it, Darcy and the department felt that 125, a fee for 125 for roof mounted systems and 150 for ground mounted system is consistent with other fees that they have in the department, and they give a thumbs up to the rest of the permit. So this cleared all the other hurdles and checks on.
good deal.
So
It's
we're ready to go.
also consistent with Soda Plank, from what I understand. Yeah.
So with that, will we need a resolution to accept that new permit system?
Yes, would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Whereas,
We're trying to be formal.
well, right?
Yeah. Andy, we're trying to be formal.
Whereas the town of North Elba duly adopted the New York State Fire Prevention and Building Construction Code to provide minimum requirements to safeguard the public safety, and whereas the town of North Elba code enforcement officer who administers and enforces all provisions of New York State, what is it? This is a little bit different. Oh, it's part of the resolution, sorry. I've read this over 16 times. I'm like, I never caught the part. New York State Energy Code and the Town of North Elba Code, and whereas the Town of North Elba requires the issuance of a building permit for the construction, enlargement, alteration, repair, removal, or demolition of any building or any other structure, and whereas the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code regulates the design, construction, installation, alteration, repair of equipment and systems using the solar systems, and whereas the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority has developed a New York State Unified Solar Permit that reduces the cost for solar projects by streamlining municipal permitting processes, and whereas the town of North Elba desires to promote the streamlining of the application process for small-scale photovoltaic, someone pronounce that for me. Photovoltaic, thank you, system installation under 25 kW in size by adopting the New York State Unified Solar Permit application form and implementing the new procedures. Now, therefore, like Rick said, be it resolved, the town of North Elba hereby adopts the New York State Unified Solar Permit application form and procedures for the installation of small-scale photovoltaic systems, and it is further resolved. The town of North Elba code enforcement officer is hereby directed to use said New York State Unified Solar Permit application for and procedures in the issuance of building permits for the installation of small-scale photovoltaic systems. And it is further resolved, any further actions required of the town of North Elba to effect the foregoing are hereby authorized, and the town of North Elba supervisor is hereby authorized to execute and deliver any instruments, documents, or the like as required to the effect of the same. The vote on foregoing resolution was as follows.
Excellent.
That's like 10 pages.
It was nice. Yeah, it seemed like it, but I'm just like,
Now I see you read fast.
no, I tried.
I know.
And obviously, it's
I'm here all night.
that was the verbal equivalent of me doing like hurdles.
So I'll take a motion to accept that resolution.
So move.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carried. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you for reading.
Second is to accept a highway foreman description that we previously talked about at our work session. I think you've all had a chance to read it, and pretty sure everybody chimed in and accepted it.
It makes sense, yeah.
If that looks good, then I'll take a motion to accept that description.
So moved.
Jason, second.
Second.
Dick, further discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one opposed, carried. Next is an annual thing that, a resolution that comes out of the county, just to support the confinement of dogs to protect the deer herd, and it's, like I say, an annual deal. Really nothing to talk about.
I was shocked at the fines.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
How
too.
low they are.
Yeah, that's the one thing, that's my comment also. I mean, first of all, if you want to cut down a deer, you end up with a deer, you paid a good price for it,
Yeah,
you know? So, yeah, I think maybe next year they look at and increase the fines.
and I believe, I don't know if the fine starts at the state level and then county follows.
Okay,
That might be true.
Yeah,
maybe a DEC fine or something.
yeah. In any respect, this is what we're looking at this year. Motion to accept.
So,
Oh, wow.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, all right. Now everybody's in the mix tonight.
I went right into a flexion contraction. Jeez.
All in favor?
She verbally slapped her head.
Carried, pass. Our next resolution, probably we'll have a little discussion. just to confirm numbers, it's a resolution to amend the total number of unhosted STR permits. I think I'll let Emily speak to how we got there and why.
Sure. So right now, in the current short-term rental law, the number is set at 165 permits. And if we go back to our summer workshops where we met just to talk about short-term rentals, where that number came from was that we were discussing allowing for a 10% growth. And at that point, we thought that we had about 150 unhosted short-term rentals. So 10% of 150 would have been 15. That would get a 10% growth, would have maxed out at 165. So that's why that number was agreed upon. And then as we move forward, once the moratorium was lifted and we started filtering through all the permits and organizing them into their new categories, we realized that there was some duplication, some people that had dropped off in the middle of the moratorium. Cleaning up the list, we went from 150 to 140. And so if you take 10% of 140, that's 14, and you would arrive at 154. And so I think if we're trying to stick with what we had discussed through the summer, our goal of allowing for a 10% growth of unhosted permits in those certain districts, then we should revise the number to 154. And based on Britt's grandmother passed away, and so she hasn't been in the office for 2 days. But going back through Britt's past emails, our number is currently either at 152 or 153. I need Britt to answer that for me, because I'm not sure who's applied for what. But we wouldn't be cutting anyone out who's on the wait list, but I think we're like pretty much right at that number.
Which means we're like right on.
Yeah.
Right, and we've had since January 9th, for these people to do it. We've had roughly a month.
Yeah, they've had about a month.
Which ultimately means we're honoring what we did to pass the law.
Right.
Even though this is an amendment, it's only an amendment to reflect what we decided.
Yeah, because our original intention was, at the time, was, okay, January 9th, see what happens.
Yep.
Give it a little time. We've given it a month, basically.
And we categorized each permit.
Right.
Which was.
So anybody that's really interested in getting in should have gotten in.
Right.
Should have gotten in.
And was also ready, like had
Right,
already
yeah.
purchased the home and.
Right, right. So, yeah.
So do you want to present that resolution in a number?
Would you like
You make
to?
it up on
Here
its
is
own.
all next.
Whereas, therefore.
Whereas I would make motion that the number, and I tried to, looking back at the exact language of the law, it never uses the word capped, right? It just says the number of permits, of unhosted short-term rental permits in these districts in that section is limited to 154.
Okay.
And it doesn't actually amend the law, because in the law, it says that we can do it by resolution.
Right.
So we don't have to hold a public hearing or refile a local law.
Right, we can change it by resolution.
Yes. And Lori will make it even sound even better on paper
Oh,
tomorrow.
No,
You put-
do we know
You're
that?
gonna email that to me too. I have Jason emailing me, you're gonna email me what you have.
154 sounds good.
I'll make the motion. Second, Dick. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Carries. Thank you. This is kind of a formality, this next resolution. It's called a lump sum consultant agreement with CNS engineers. Basically, this just says we're doing business with CNS to carry on the runway 1432 rehab, which is slated for this year. I can't tell you exactly when it will be. I suspect it will be September. We can't do it during horse show, can't do it during August when the most flights come in. Probably just to give enough time so blacktopping can go down in the early fall. But in any respect, this resolution, you want to do a little reading? 'Cause I think as the town clerk, I think.
The regular meeting, February 7th, the following. Councilman so-and-so moved, Councilman Sullivan seconded the motion to approve the resolution authorizing the execution of the following Lake Placid Airport project, runway 14-32 rehab, lump sum consultant agreement for design. Therefore, No further discussion. Motion was unanimously carried. That's all. It just says the,
That's fine.
Yep.
And
and it actually should have the number of the agreement on
a further,
it. It should say FAA, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, and that, I have this to go along with that.
This agreement should say FAA.
That's why this goes with it.
Right.
In any respect, that CNS lump sum agreement amounts to $205,000. And 1432 is our main runway. So it's a big project. All right. Did we vote on that?
No.
I don't think we.
Motion.
Motion.
Motion to accept, Rick, second by Dick. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carries. Next item on the agenda is a discussion on a foreclosure property at 34 Brandy Brook Ave in Saranac Lake.
Nope, we got the.
No?
Ivan.
Ivan.
Oh, I missed that. I'm having a day here, you guys.
It's
okay. This contract extension with Ivan has to do with an existing contract that is terminating. So we need Ivan to continue on with not only Raybrook, but he included in this contract for services, which is a set rate. So I can't give you a figure on it. It's just a contract for services from Ivan. He also included with the Raybrook projects the possibility of Rosamond. As you know, we met with Brad Hathaway to talk about that lengthy 8-inch line or whatever to have it lined. We're not sure, in Brad's looking for estimates, whether we need an engineering contingent or not. That's why we played it safe with there. So anyway, this would run through December 31st of 25, which correlates, I think if Kathy's on, would correlate with the end of our existing grant with Raybrook. I think that's why Ivan picked December 31st. You're welcome to chime in if you want to, Kathy.
Yes.
The Raybrook project actually is going to finish before December.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, great news, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for filling us in on that.
Of 2025.
Just ruined that.
Okay. Well, again, our resolution, kind of, I call it a formality. I'll take a motion to accept that contract signing with Ivan.
So
By Jason, second by Emily. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one opposed? Carried. Now we can go to,
Now we go to Brandy Brook.
Emily, why don't you handle this?
Sure, so 34 Brandy Brook, Brandy Brook is that little street that connects, does everyone know where Brandy Brook is? You spend time over there, your in-laws are over there. So if you're on Mackenzie Pond Road, it's the little left-hand turn that connects to NBT.
Oh,
And there's maybe like
That's all
four
the time.
oh, yeah.
residential houses there, single family. Well, actually, there's a group home there too.
They just paved it not too long ago. That was pretty brutal.
But 34 Brandy Brook is actually has a torrid history of being in tax foreclosure. Like, I think it's been owned by the county a couple times, and then someone buys it and then never gets in there and is like, what the hell did I do that for? And it doesn't do anything with it. So it's currently owned by the county. It is foreclosed on and was not on the most recent auction list, which kind of actually worked out because now we have this opportunity to do something with it if we want.
Okay.
And it was, so far there's a lot of players in it, and that there's another housing organization that tends to serve more on the Saranac Lake side of North Elba, which is a real estate development corporation that's part of Harrystown Housing Authority. And so Derek and I went to see the property on Friday, and 2 representatives from that organization came with us as well, because they were interested in potentially being the nonprofit that we were thinking maybe could rehab the house. but that is not possible. Anything is possible, is not wise to rehab it. So I think there'll be, we're definitely on step 0.001 of this process, but I think it's a very desirable lot. And if the county is willing to turn it over to us, I mean, I think that we should pursue it for the goal of housing.
Right.
What that looks like and who those partners are, I think is still all to be determined. But at least we just want to make sure that the rest of the board knew about it and that we're in the process of moving it forward. And it should be demoed, not rehabbed.
Okay.
Is the lot large enough for a duplex?
That's what it says.
So I actually wanted to I really like cramming things in there. So I actually wanted to put 4, and I brought Steve Salmon with me because I wanted Steve to put 4 there. But I don't think it's big enough for 4. It might be big enough for 4, but then you wouldn't have parking. And that obviously would be a problem. And so this is the odd thing about a duplex is that if you had a duplex, you would have to have, like, do you have an HOA for, like, maybe there's an answer to this out there, I don't have it. If you have a duplex, do you have to have an HOA for that shared space, like the shared roof, and that's crazy, like the fees associated with creating an HOA for that would not be worth it.
Right.
So then how do duplexes exist out there in the world? Do they just have some sort of agreement that's not an HOA about a capital reserve for the roof and for the siding?
There is actually a duplex on Ampersand Ave over the Civic Center, so maybe there's a provision in the code in Saranac Lake.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be about the code.
No.
It would be about like the maintenance of it.
Right.
Because you would never have a townhome without an HOA because you have shared things like walls and
Right.
and roof. And so I don't know the answer to that. So because of that complication, my most recent line of thinking has been, it's like a long, narrow lot, has been to do 2 single families, like with a right of way over the first one to get to the second one. So if this is the narrow lot, there's one house here and one house here. They would have to be relatively small. But that's my newest thought on it. And Susan Waters, who represents AEDC, has been talking to Jamie Pinkowski, who is in the planning office for the village, because it's the village of Saranac Lake, so it's all their planning office and their zoning. And so the next step too will be to talk to Jamie about what the possibilities are, but it's a pretty lax, or, it's a high density area, so I think you could definitely do 2 single family homes, and I think you could do a duplex if you can figure out what that looks like in terms of maintenance. But yeah, the idea is that you would put 2 back in so that we can maximize the space and also offset our costs for the demo and for building.
Did you mention the back taxes? That makes it appealing.
Yeah, no, I don't know, you know what the number is, I don't know.
There's only 21,000 in arrears on them.
Oh, okay.
And I know for a housing initiative, and I don't want to speak for all the county supervisors, but I believe that a lot of that could be relieved in order to put this back into housing.
Okay.
And put it back on the tax market.
Yeah, it's in their best interest, obviously, to get it back on the tax roll and actively paying.
That's it, sure.
And there is asbestos, I shouldn't say there is asbestos, there's most likely asbestos.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 step ones. One is planning and zoning with Jamie Pinkowski, and then the other one is some asbestos testing, which maybe Derek can be helpful with the county and the company that they contract with.
Jim Dugan the county has a contract with, I think it's Atlantic Testing. So, before any transfer occurs, I can get the county.
Yeah, we don't want to deal with, no.
And then we would have a contractor come in to remove the asbestos, and then maybe it's a combination of village highway and town highway to go and actually take the building down.
Yeah, like we talked about with the old hospital.
Right.
Until that came about.
Right. Same type of deal.
Same type of
So
deal.
anyway, we'll stay involved on it and keep everybody up to par.
Thank you.
Next item, I think Chelsea sent the letter from Adirondack Health.
Yep.
Certainly, a fundraiser for the hospital is certainly well received. I just want to have discussion on this waiving of the noise ordinance. Just to make it clear, very rarely would I support something like this, because it could come back to us 50 times this summer. For instance, on the lakes or whatever, or wherever people are having their own home weddings and stuff. I don't want this type of relief, if you will, to become something where the general public starts asking us to waive a noise ordinance. The reason I personally am in favor of this would be the fact that in the letter, people are 500-600 feet away. They're taking precautions.
Right, and
to
indicating the
minimize.
actual decibel levels that,
Yeah,
I mean, if they're true, I mean, we have no way, we have to take their word on it.
right,
But with the decibel levels they're indicating, I have no problem with it.
yeah,
I mean, it's not like, they're in the middle of a development and,
right,
And it's a fundraiser, not a wedding.
right.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit
Yeah, I mean,
organization.
but that really, I mean, to be honest, that shouldn't enter into it.
Right.
I agree, it's a good cause and everything,
Yeah.
but that shouldn't enter into it. But the fact that its location and the potential decibel level to the surrounding area is
Right.
fine.
But, so I obviously know what River Road is, but what's Sable River Ranch?
It's
Where
the
is it?
red line.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
just.
Feldman's old.
Okay.
Now, who owns the farm across the street?
If the farm across the street used to be Trevor's,
No,
or no, that's farther down.
you mean,
Something rock, slip rock, or?
no, no. You mean, which red barn is it at? Is it where Dick used to own?
Dick
Feldman's, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. The one across the street isn't anything.
Well, yeah, I don't know how far down the field they're going with this. Ted, do you know? She said in the field.
Yeah, but there's the farm that Trevor used to own, which is further down. But then you've got the
The one
people
on
up
the
in,
corner.
yeah, on the corner on the bend.
Right.
And then you've got the people, if you're looking from Feldman's barn, you got those people up in, like where Brad
Holly
Street used to
Stretch
be, Holly Stretch and like that. But, I mean, they're quite a fair amount up in there.
It doesn't seem.
And then you've got the house that Frank Sears built.
Right,
He
yeah,
sold, and
that's
that's
gonna
it.
be- Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
I think maybe we could ask them to notice their neighbors about this.
I actually spoke with Hannah today and on a different matter, and she brought this up. She said that if possible, could she get a list of people that live in that neighborhood? She
Okay,
said she'd like to speak with them and perhaps get them a gift or let them know what's going on.
That's what the village used to do with the weddings. They would have to notice all the people, all the different times.
Although there is one house up in there that's right on the road. It's closer.
To the right.
Across
Most of them
the
up
way.
in, there's one right that you go up in there. I think there's not the one that Holly owns, I think.
Yeah,
Or used to
yeah,
own.
right.
The first one, yeah.
I would say, like, we look at it from a reviewer perspective, normally it'd be with every neighbor within 200 feet of a property line would be noticed return receipt. But since we know it's a little bit farther than 200 feet, so maybe we say 500 feet, but we should give them a number. And
I
then,
say, yeah,
and then if Hannah can easily speak with the building office and they'll help her with the
Right.
list.
Okay.
And then they'll just take Todd's addresses and give her.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I don't think you're gonna go above 6.
Yeah.
right. I'll see Todd or Mike in the morning. We'll do a GPS overlay and pull the
And
address.
obviously facing the speakers towards the old landfill, the old dump.
Right, across the river.
Right.
Yeah,
If that's possible.
yep.
Take that washing
Dancing in
machine
there.
down to a microphone,
That's right, yeah,
a
exactly.
microwave.
Your microwave.
But maybe the neighbors would enjoy a double axle. You never know.
So
So
then invite them down.
do you want me to do this in the form of a motion?
Yeah, the only thing I'm gonna say for the record, that I fundamentally disagree with Dick, and it matters to me that it's a nonprofit, and I would not feel the same way if this was someone coming to say that they were having a private wedding there. It matters to me that it is a nonprofit.
Okay.
I would have to agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. it
Just because she called you
differentiates.
out specifically. I wouldn't
I
agree.
know.
For the record.
No, it's a good thing I wasn't turned around.
Get both sides, that's much.
No, instead it was a,
You want to make that motion?
Sure.
All right.
That we,
Thought that one out.
That,
We-
that we allow?
Yeah, that we allow relief from our noise ordinance for the purposes of Adirondack Health having their summer gala event
Until 11?
until 11 PM on, there's gotta be a date in here, right?
Watch out.
All right.
Or maybe there isn't a date yet.
Uh,
I saw a date my husband put in the calendar.
Well, he might know.
I don't see a date on.
I think it's in July.
No, I'll confirm the date when I call with the list of neighbors.
Date to be determined.
A motion by Emily,
Second.
second by Jason. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Next up is some discussion on dual development. And I'm not sure dual development is the right term I should have used.
Yeah.
Is it Lake Placid Hospitality?
There are many
Yeah,
names.
because I was reading a lot of that stuff and it kept almost interchanging them.
Well, exactly.
So I just used dual development because it seemed like that. was
Yeah,
the most
Review
common.
board, the review board applications are under, or application is under dual
Yeah,
development.
that's where thanks for the application, because I did read it.
Vic, I think I'll let you
Yeah,
start.
this isn't, this is no major issue. We supported this application and everything, which is, that's not what it's about, support. I would like to see, my idea is to have some function where we have Bobak or the group report to us on a semi-regular basis of a timeline. I mean, there is a timeline in the application. But that timeline obviously depends upon acceptance. Assuming they get the grant, I'd like to see at that point a revised timeline if it needs to be revised. And also periodic, and that's all I'm going to say, is periodic updates on where we're going. And then when he gets near completion and near occupancy for workforce, is it going to be 50%? Is it going to be 60% he needs or whatever they need? Okay, just want to know. So therefore, if other entities want to encourage their workforce or just single workforce people want to come in, we know that, yes, there's going to be X number of units so they can prepare for it. It's like Mackenzie Overlook one. Yeah, hey, it's going to be 60 units, prepare for it. So I just would like some, either we can, upon acceptance, upon his acceptance, their acceptance, at that point, we say to them, keep us, new timeline, keep us abreast of the situation along the way, and we can define that.
Mhm.
That's all for discussion. I mean, I'm not looking for any voter, that's just my idea, because, this is great for the community to be able to possibly use one hotel's workforce housing or one for some other businesses, but we need to know what's going on.
Yeah, it could be also a good success story for if it gets funded and for the ESD approved program. So
Right.
other hotel owners say, well, thanks for keeping us updated. It's working.
Yeah, so therefore,
It's a successful
yeah,
project.
many different things, but I don't want to say, okay, oh, you got your money? Okay, and then all of a sudden, there's a bunch of scenarios that could happen. There's worst case, not worst case, but the fact is delayed, and we need it.
Mhm.
And also, oh yeah, it's all done, but I need the whole space,
Yeah.
just worst case.
And by virtue of the contract, keep in mind, we are the sub-grant, is that the
No,
right term?
we are the sponsor and he is the sub-grantee.
And we're still a clearinghouse.
Yes.
Yes,
Things have to pass through us.
yeah, because you're the one that signed everything.
That's right. And I also am responsible for them to follow as close as they can between 23 and 30% of minority and women-owned businesses toward contractors. So there will be interaction.
Oh, yeah, and that's what we talked about the other day, was the fact that Mike and Darcy are going to be there anyway. And just at that point, looking at that, and you're going to be looking at other things. So, but if they can come to us and say, or just give us a report periodically, whether it be every 4 or 5 months or at a given stage, yep, it'll be available in 2 months.
Mhm.
At that point, they say, okay. So we say, hey, guys, here's your opportunity.
I think the 3 items that you identified just seem incredibly reasonable.
Yeah, oh yeah, no. I just don't want to be blindsided at anything.
Yeah.
And hey, nothing against them, but it keeps any company, developer on notice. We're watching.
Yeah.
We're not looking for something bad.
Mhm.
We just want to know what's going on.
Holding people, there's some oversight, some accountability, that's all.
That's right. Yep.
Fair enough.
And there are enough people out there that would like this done.
Oh, yeah.
The oversight,
Yes.
Yes.
so to speak. I
Yeah.
use that.
No,
Gotcha.
that's good.
No, that's it. There's no big deal.
Anything
Good.
further?
I think,
Like it.
Good.
Thanks, Dick.
yes.
All right, let's move on to item J, which is, I'm not sure how to say Chris's last name, Santa Croce?
Santa Croce.
Santa Croce. He's agreed to step up again and serve a 4-year term on the STR Appeals Board. I thank him for that. And do you know Chris?
No, but God bless him.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
And
So
do
we
you know
do-
by chance how many appeals we've had? I think only 2.
Oh, we're going into the third.
Yeah, there's one coming up. Yeah, we got an email the other day.
Oh, yeah,
Saying one's coming. That's number 3.
okay.
Yep.
In any respect, I'll take a motion to approve Chris's 4-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Emily, second by Jason. Any further discussion other than a thank you? All in favor? Aye.
Right?
No opposed, carried. I sent you all an updated proposal. We've gone back and forth a few times. We've really only okayed, maybe 4 or 5 allocations so far out of our ARPA funding, which is COVID relief monies. I do know, and Kathy, you can chime in at any time if I'm wrong in anything, but from discussions on the county level, I believe we need to have a direction or at least a listing of proposed projects of where this money is going to be allocated by the end of this year, where we have an additional year for the spend down. So in this list, and maybe for our next work session or our next town board meeting, I can ask Kathy to give us an exact amount. But in basic terms, I'm thinking we have about $339,000 left. And in this list I gave you, where the black dots are next to the items, I look at those as somewhat needed more urgently than the other items that are at the bottom. And I'm open to suggestions from all of you. I've tried to identify important avenues to spend this money. The warming pump, we did already okay, the $13,000.
Right.
Next in line, I put the outing club. As you remember, the LEAF committee put that in front of us, and they really hadn't been successful in starting the raising part. And I know LEAF, and Dick, you can chime in. LEAF is more agreeable if applicants have other types of funding so LEAF can help finish a project instead of funding the total amount.
Right.
So in helping the outing club that basically has 90 to 130 kids involved, this shed they want to build to store kayaks, snowshoes, skis, just on and on, life preservers. It's a major project, and I believe their site is still elementary school for this building. And we've been so supportive of youth activities that I personally see this as a great way to help them start on their way to raising $88,000 to $90,000. So that's something I'd like you to consider. I don't need confirmation tonight, but if we just touch on each of these things, it makes you help me figure out where we're going to go with this money. St. Agnes Food Pantry, pretty easy one to figure out the need in this community, certainly worthy in my estimation. Now this next one, daycare, it is a huge undertaking, and it's more about exposure of just the idea of daycare. Yes, I plugged in $50,000, which is a drop in the bucket toward where we're heading. But Emily and I stopped in Keene yesterday to see a most amazing effort underway. I don't know if you want to talk for a minute about it.
Sure, I think I had it under committee.
Oh, all right. If you want to wait.
I still could get really sidetracked.
Yeah.
by that.
Okay.
But we just met with the new, Phil, she's the interim executive director for Little Peaks Daycare. I don't know if you're familiar with that project in Keene. Yes,
Yes.
Jason. It's kind of across from the town hall. If you look down that little road, there's a greenhouse, like a decrepit farmhouse. Look down that road, there's a brand new building back by the river. It's like 75% done, maybe more than that. But it's an amazing effort by this nonprofit, which is Little Peaks. And they've been operating a daycare in Keene, well, actually, yeah, a daycare pre-K program in Keene for 30 years, but they've been operating out of the community center, and they've just gotten to a point over this last 2 years where it's just not a big enough space and there was more demand, and they only were limited from 8:30 to 11:30 because they had no kitchen facilities. And so through some fundraising efforts, and they have some big supporters down there, they bought property from actually the Housing System for Essex County, and they built this building with a lot of donated labor, a lot of donated funds. It's solar, it's totally off the, like, first, it's not connected, well, it will be connected to NICEAG to give back power, but it has, I'm trying to think, there has a lot of cool, like, eco-friendly features. It's very Keene, and like, you know, fits all of their goals as a community, including daycare. And so they're actually gonna, starting in June, they will almost have, they're certified for 44 children, and they will have 44 children there.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's a lot for that area too.
Yeah. Well, and they attract from Mariah, from this end of Lake Placid.
Okay. That's what.
People are traveling to get there
Well,
because of the demand.
You have to. So my question is, daycare, good cause, $50,000, good start, but how are we going to spend it? I mean, we have to spend it in a certain amount of time.
By the end of 24.
That's what I mean.
All this is a starting area to say it has some worth. I just plugged in numbers so I could add up at the end to know if we're a plus or minus.
So we have to designate any designation by the end of 23. So
we have to have a list of
who it's going to by the end of 23.
Yeah.
So the point is, and again, I'm talking worst case scenarios here. We say we're going to designate $50,000 for daycare, and we've got almost 2 years to spend it.
Right.
What if nothing materializes within that point?
And that'll be a question that Kathy and I will have to figure out.
If it has to be designated by the end of this year.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so you need to designate the funds by the end of 2024 and spend them by the end of 2026.
Oh, by the end of 2024. Oh, okay. That's much better.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kathy.
2024. Okay. So, because it sounds like 2 years sounds like a lot of time, but it's not.
But by the time you develop a plan.
That's right. But that's,
Good deal.
So this is just, not to dive too deep in the weeds, this is just a jump off point, and you're referencing the Little Peaks
As an
a model.
example, yeah.
That is something that this board will try to connect with some other nonprofits to be able to develop something similar to yours.
Yeah, like the town is not interested in running a daycare.
Obviously, yeah.
And so,
Because we do so well.
for so many children.
No, but I mean, you're talking about, Emily mentioned that a lot of, a fair amount of private money went into it too.
Mhm.
I think we could do that here too, obviously.
I think
There's
we can create the
need.
exact same model. We have a very similar demographic.
There's a
Yeah,
wait
no, that's
list
what I mean.
everywhere.
We can do that too. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't want to lose this money,
Oh, sure.
Right.
And the point is, with the new timing that Kathy, educated us with, I think, we can do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Great.
Yep.
So along with that, the next item of West Valley sidewalk, we've brought that up 3 or 4 times now.
Not counting all the times I've been interjected. Just shout it
Yeah,
out.
we don't need.
Like I had Tourette's at a board meeting.
But see, it shows we're listening.
Who goes in here and, you know.
Bounces off the wall.
My question with that is, where do we stand? Had you talked to the engineer?
Uh,
Yeah, not the
Yes,
engineer.
but it's-
Susan, is it?
Kathy Swaza.
Okay, I assume that's in there someplace.
No,
Okay,
I'm more trying to work with Brad first to know that sidewalk there for him is not a priority right now.
okay.
So my putting it on the list to talk to you guys kind of goes like this. I see our effort on West Valley to go from Mackenzie Overlook to Cummins Road and to school so that the access to school and Main Street is tackled first. I think that's within our scope.
Yeah.
Going the other way means we have to work with the village to make it work. And for right now, Brad's had so much going on that at least in initial talks, that's not so high on his priority list right
Okay.
now.
So they would put the sidewalk in, is that what we're saying? We're doing it, they would do it in-house instead of.
No, I'm saying we will need engineering to just figure out
Okay,
If it's
how to do it
possible.
on that side of the road, whether a cut over the hill into Shipman. There's too many things to look at. And from what I know, I don't think cutting into Shipman is even an option now.
They extended, unless you went off the end of the parking lot, which now you're
Yeah.
getting a little sketchy.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it wouldn't be a public,
correct.
it's not like we can invite the public to use that cut through.
We could, they probably wouldn't appreciate it.
But I think if we focus, and not that all of West Valley does not need a sidewalk, but if we have to make priorities and sacrifice some things, I think it's important to connect Mackenzie Overlook, where there's 60 apartments, to the school.
Yeah.
And then also to employment, because most likely they're
Yeah,
going to
see
be
that,
walking
yeah,
that
that's
direction.
my, I
Is
think we're gonna,
Commonwealth too far?
go this way.
What's that?
That's
Commonwealth's
opposed to
too
that one.
far up, just past Mackenzie.
When does it cross to Village?
What's that?
When does it cross to Village?
I don't think it goes all the way until it goes around the corner.
Well, picture where we stopped
Yeah, all the way around, right? Oneida, yeah.
Yeah, almost,
Yeah.
so it's right by Russ's house. Russ
And I'm
Fleming's house.
not trying to say no to that distance, but we're talking about,
Oh, yeah.
Start.
It's expensive, yeah.
it'd be a sidewalk to nowhere.
And we also talked with Kenny about going that way, towards Saranac Avenue, of just building out the shoulder.
Right,
So at least we'd have a walkway,
yeah.
because now we've got, with the drainage and everything, you got about this much room. At least build it out.
For all I know, maybe Kathy Swazzle's gonna say, if you want a designated sidewalk, we can get around the corner. This is what we're looking at there.
Right.
If your highway department wants to take an easement and give a 4-foot bike lane or whatever down that other side of the road, you see, we got telephone poles, we have drainage.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Oh, it is,
over
because
there.
I was looking at it the other day, and, on the snowfield side, that's where we'd have to do it anyway.
Yeah,
The Mackenzie Overlook side is just, no.
so I still see that as a priority item,
Yeah.
at least in my mind.
Yep.
Homestead development was an early on venture to help wind down debt so that they can keep moving forward. Now, maybe you want to speak to that in some form? And listen, I know you can recuse yourself all you want, but we're going to rely on you for information.
I mean, we always are seeking money. So I don't know what else to add to it.
I mean, with this housing directive, I think it's money spent very well to prove the success of that. I don't know of another development that is trying to tackle moving housing on at a merely over cost. It's just not done anywhere. I'd like to help prove that it can work.
Well, at this point, you can answer it if you want. At this point, obviously the price had to be increased due to cost. Okay. At this point, does Homestead Development look at increasing that price again?
For townhomes?
Yeah.
What, did he put a price on the application for leave? It should be between
No.
170 and 180.
But there's no, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing in there. I didn't even read the application yet.
No, so right now, our price point, sorry, I should say 175 and 185. Our price point for condos is somewhere between 175 and 185,
Okay.
and we want to do better. So any money that we
Right.
get just offsets that cost.
What was the original price?
Oh, gosh, probably 170.
Okay, no, this all makes sense. Nothing against it. I just want to,
Because the original cost of the single family, we were hoping for 200 and they ended up at 220.
that's where I was coming from with that, which is fine. I mean, materials go up, but now materials are, they went up. Now they're coming down. So maybe, that's the thing.
The only thing I would say is
I'm
that
not looking for a decrease. I'm just saying.
that 160 price was also probably based on a condo design. And if you remember, we went from condos to townhomes, which added a lot of cost in terms of structural things.
Yeah.
And it added a half bathroom, which I think will be very desirable to people for not a huge amount of cost, but those are some of the things.
That's what I just, and like you said, anything, I know the fundraisers and everything else trying to keep it there or take it down. No, that's fine.
Okay, the next item I think is a must-do. This item of emergency generators was brought to me by Kimball Davy. And the one thing I really never thought about, Rick, you can respond to this, is that in a no power outage and ambulance service gets called because people are on oxygen tanks, even if we're only out for 3 hours, I don't know if you keep a list there or whatever, but Kimball said there's a need for 12 to 24 to 36 of these small little Honda generators that basically save people's lives. To me, that.
And the ambulance squad has none of those right now?
No. What they do is if there's a prolonged power outages, they will start going to homes and trading out oxygen bottles for them. Because they have those oxygen generators.
Yeah.
And they don't work, so.
Oh, okay.
The other thing that check into is World University Games had a lot of generators.
Did.
And they offered them, but I'll follow up. They did. I'll follow up with.
But small ones?
Yes, they're single plug.
Wow.
They're
like the little Honda
right.
6-pack.
In fact, they were too small for their need.
Yeah.
They used them at the little security huts.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
So warm.
Yeah.
Is that their work?
Right.
Yeah.
And they'll run one item.
Yeah.
Like a washing machine.
Have you got someone you could call?
Yeah, I'll give them a call.
So anyway, that's a public safety thing that I think is worth considering.
Sure.
Wait, just another question. So the ambulance garage is also an emergency shelter, correct? And that was part of the bathrooms with the
Right,
leak.
exactly.
And so are there, the ambulance as being a shelter, they have generators and they have power
They have
when,
brand new generator,
Okay.
about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
New generator.
So someone could always go in there.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But generally, the people have oxygen.
Yeah, they're not-
May not be
yeah,
able to
no,
go there.
no.
Unless
But just
it's an
Worst
emergency.
case scenario.
Yeah.
Yes, life-saving, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this next one, is related to what Emily reported on for the foreclosure property. Just something to consider. If we get into a situation of working with the county, there will be dump fees and stuff for stuff that's other than regular C&D.
Right.
The cameras, I just got that IT.
Okay.
And we've been working on that for months.
Right.
It does not include, the item number 7 is town hall. That was a camera that was suggested because of what we went through with being able to watch the court
Okay.
situation. So that's minor, but this represents many cameras for many different uses, not just safety at the toboggan chute, watching if there's an accident at the landfill if somebody falls in, but those cameras are still good. It would have to do with chiming in with our new website to show people the golf course, to show them toboggan chute in the winter, to show them the Nordic Center in the winter. there's a lot of benefit to spending this money for camera footage.
Well, we know we need it. We're gonna need it down in the Crossfield area because of pickleball and volleyball and everything too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think another very worthwhile cause where we don't have to put it on the taxpayer.
I don't know if you're like looking for action on these, but I feel like that's this one, I think we might all agree we can move it forward, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, we've reached a point where we need cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
I was just saying, looking for, have you received, you said IT to get quotes?
Yeah,
Dave Janito has code.
and
We got
we
it.
sent it to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I saw something like.
And in his quote, he's happy to give us a quote not to exceed, so we know it won't go over.
Okay.
That lends itself to protecting himself for unseen costs, but in any respect, that wraps up what I see as priorities.
Well, to the point that Emily's making, move forward cameras, at least one more of these, or a couple of these, we can move forward too.
Right,
West
St.
Valley
Agnes Food Pantry,
West Valley Engineering.
Yeah.
West Valley Engineering, all that, we can move forward with anything. We'll table that one for now.
I can
Dick's
do
still
it one at a
pointing, I-
time. And
It's
you
been
can
going the rest
recuse.
up.
You can't even spell recuse. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hate that word. Yeah.
It's spelled AYE, but not.
Yeah.
All right, so before we go back to checking off what we like, is there anything in the lower section that you don't think deserves to be on the list? Now, the Indeed program, I put a question mark because at some point that could come back around. Do you remember the Indeed?
Yeah, and I actually have somewhat of an update in that, if you want an update. Peter Rowland and Haley and myself have met a couple times to move a business plan forward. And we've had a lot of luck working with Jennifer McCluskey out of SUNY Canton. There's a small business office there. And so that was actually a suggestion because we wanted to write a business plan for this to be able to bring to the town board for funding and to bring to private donors for funding. And so working with the Small Business Administration, they've been really helpful in finding us documents that are somewhat relatable and just have been a good sounding board of what we need to think about in a business plan. And so we're working on that document. So it is something that we're moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, my only, that's the only question on any of those is the Olympic torch restoration. Not that it's not a good cause, but let's find out, who's gonna do it?
Right.
Who's gonna oversee it? And see a plan too. I mean, if you recall about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we discussed it.
Right.
With some ideas. And then a group came out with some ideas, which never really went much further. But I've got my own ideas, which are not specific or anything, just kind of like talking to Butch about it, just like, and he can wait with it, is to identify with it is, make it like almost like a Memorial Park in Yankee Stadium.
Right.
You go in and here's everything.
Okay,
Something like that,
that's interesting.
There is $1 million plan that was put together for a whole promenade of driving in and the whole bit.
Yeah.
This money was really just for landscaping, cutting all the trees that are growing around the base, taking the facing off the cement blocks, and maybe just plain painting it and just making what's there look presentable because it's an eyesore.
Okay, no, I have no problem with that. I just don't want to give it to a group.
This
right.
this is really just a cosmetic upgrade. And I don't envision needing $20,000, but when we have someone go up in a ladder truck to look at where they've got banding holding on the stainless or the aluminum, maybe that $20,000 can at least make that torch look better. And we buy 5 to 10 years, just having what's there presentable. That's all this is about.
No, that's good, because I just don't, the way it's going the last 3 years, it's not going.
Right.
So if we did, we
we got trees growing in around it.
This is a perfect example of taking one from the lower part and moving it up
Yep,
and saying, let's do it.
yep.
Because I don't foresee the way it's been going the last 2.5, 3 years, anybody coming along and saying, okay, we got the funding, we're gonna do all this.
Yep.
I just don't.
All right, let's identify what you guys see as priorities. You like the cameras?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How about the generators? Oh, we're gonna look into that.
Let's look
There-
into that.
But
Okay.
we could just maybe contingentally approve,
Yeah.
and,
Move forward
you know,
with that.
whatever, if it doesn't come to fruition, that we at least.
Okay, you like the engineering?
Yes,
Yes.
Do you like the food pantry?
yes.
Do you like the outing club?
I have question marks on the outing club only because of the time frame. So if we're the first ones in at $20,000, how long do we give them to raise it? Like, what if in 5 years they haven't built what they said?
Here's what's gonna happen. And this is how I see it happening. If we give them $20,000, that lets the application from Leaf come back to us at a certain amount,
Talk
where,
slow, Derek, talk
How much
slow.
was it?
Talk slow. I'm looking
You got it
something
on
up.
there?
I'm looking something up.
okay. And I think they're asked for Leaf. I'd have to pull it up. You didn't bring that file I showed you, did you? No. On the
I
Leaf
think that's
application.
No, I'm looking,
I wanna say it was $44,000 or $54,000.
and what I wanna know, I'm looking at,
It's an
I don't-
$85,000
I don't wanna
project.
slow down for a minute.
So can we just loop back while Dick is looking, the engineering, is there any way that we can have the engineering go, like, a phase one would be just from Mackenzie Overlook down to Hines Road, and then maybe a phase two goes to Comlinks, and then
Oh,
there's a way to do that, and then,
I
like,
guess
then we can
that-
worry about, like, going up and around to Oneida or whatever else as a phase three type.
I'm guessing the whole plan can be laid out.
Okay, so you're thinking
Yeah.
from all the way around, but then
Yeah.
we can
I
just
think
do,
for $40,000 of engineering, we should be able to get the whole road.
okay.
And then
Yeah.
phase the actual construction.
I'm sure it was Ivan.
What'd she say?
Kathy Swaza. She said twins.
You're being taped.
Okay.
We're talking 85 plus,
Right.
and they already have some additional funding because their request has gone way down. So,
What if we make the commitment to them, but we say we're the last ones in? So they have to, they have a letter from us that says, we will give you $20,000, you will get the $20,000 once you are ready to purchase the bill, once you're at that end point.
You achieve 65,000.
Yeah.
or whatever.
because right now,
Wasn't the
What is the ask
lead grant
to
60,
Leaf?
it was 60,000, wasn't it?
less.
It was less.
So
Was it 40?
we have a new one,
Oh, okay.
For the
Okay.
same project?
same project.
Okay.
Fortunately, that's all I can say.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll admit that, that's all I can say.
No, that's understandable.
So,
Does it
and then
sound,
what we could say is, okay, if Leaf, you have funding, you have partial funding. If Leaf does not grant you, if Relief Committee only grants you partial funding, we will kick in. How's that?
so
I can-
what you're thinking is they have X, Leaf kicks in X, they don't need us.
Right. Right.
So then why don't we just table this until Leaf makes a
Well,
decision?
I need to make this distinction. Please don't forget that even though you're saying Leaf,
That's.
it's us.
Right.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm,
So are we saying on the left-hand side, if the right hand gives you 40, we're not giving you 20?
It was just pretend they're just two different.
So,
I know what you're saying, but
It's not the same pool.
that's the thing.
right.
That's the same thing. Because if they don't, if out of county funds,
Right.
X number of dollars comes out full, full ask,
Right,
okay? Then we can take that 20 grand in ARPA funds and put it someplace else.
okay.
Right. So I like if the ask is, or the quote is 85.
Right.
That once they achieve 65, but if they overshoot that, then we'll match whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
10,000 or
If
5,000.
they don't get,
Okay,
they don't, I mean, I agree with Derek 100%, it's us. But we've got 24 applications,
yeah,
so.
Is that
we don't-
large compared to?
Average, that's
That's
average,
average.
that's average. We can, we can't look at all of them. I mean, we can look at all of them, we can't, you know what I mean? We don't want to play with all of them.
okay,
So here's an opportunity to say, if you don't get, if it's a partial or whatever, we've got 20 grand.
so listen, then,
Are
we
you
don't
gonna go
even,
back to leave committee and say that this is possible, so to partially fund it?
Say that again?
That puts us in a weird situation.
yeah, that's
for
why I
voting.
say, right?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, like what,
So then I'd prefer not to even allocate it then.
yeah, let's just not.
No, put it on the bottom.
Yeah.
Move it down.
Move it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a tentative. Okay,
Move it
yeah,
down.
Still there,
It's a
but-
potential place to spend some money.
okay.
Okay, the small one, the town hall parking lot wall, I'm wrong on that after talking, here's what that is. Brad put the back parking lot, he said, we'll probably only gain one lot, but our problem is in the winter, when the snowbanks get built up, we lose 2 spots.
Right.
If we scoop it all out and put in a structured wall, or I forget what the term is for it.
Yeah.
And make it square so the bucket loaders can come in and
Right.
pick it up and it's gone. We gain, and he will help with in-kind services to pull that off.
Okay.
He said materials will be 15 to 20 grand.
Okay.
Now, again, we don't need to allocate it, but we should know that has a pretty high importance out
Oh,
there.
it does, yeah.
Because I help juggle cars twice a week.
Because there's not a retaining wall out there, it's just embankment.
It's
And
a
it
big-
papers down,
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
and we'll run it right up to the sidewalk.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
on 2 sides.
It's
Yeah.
just wasted
Yeah,
dirt.
yeah. Town pump outs, not even worth mentioning. We can find $3,000 anywhere. That reserve for a dismal toboggan season could come at us.
Very
before we
quickly.
know. Yeah. So again, we don't have to, that's just to keep it on your mind.
That's right, yeah.
Rail trail, there is a meeting coming up February, it's late this month and it's on a Sunday afternoon.
Did anyone jump at that opportunity?
Didn't I sign you up for that?
I just said if no one else is willing,
I
I
almost
would do
said,
it.
I thought about it.
I said I would do it, but really on a Sunday? I can't make a meeting on a Sunday.
Listen, I'll represent you. But
I'll represent
I really like meetings much Friday, 9 to 5.
anyway,
Yeah, right.
my point in trying to allocate some money
Yeah.
was with a machine in mind.
Okay.
Because I know as a 4-town member like we are, we're gonna need that. But I don't know anything about the grant process, but we will be expected to be a participating member.
Sure,
And anyway, just to put it on the list.
yeah, because they say in our discussions when he was here, did he say how big a parking lot they're gonna put at the end? At Lake Placid end?
For some reason, I'm remembering 60 cars.
Yes, that's at the, isn't it the Historical Society towards the end, towards
Yeah.
Station Street?
I think
There was
there's
some
still
private property they were
I had a
talking
feeling they would be
about.
going. And the point is,
Who
and
owns
this
that?
comes from personal observation. The other day I was dumping snow down there. I could barely get in.
Right,
There were so many trailers and trucks.
right.
Wait, get in where?
The snowfield.
Snowfield?
Oh,
Snowfield.
I started about the historical side, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
I thought so. I went right
Is there
there.
secrets?
I just went by there. I didn't see it.
No, because that's the thing.
Okay,
And to your point, Rick, I did hear, this,
Yeah. who owns what, and how far. and-
Right. All right, so then, as far as moving forward tonight, you feel comfortable with cameras, emergency generators, West Valley Sidewalk Engineer, and St. Agnes?
Yes, and it's just that the warming hut has already been.
Yeah,
It's already been.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the Olympic torch, we're not, if that's more of
I'm
us.
happy
You
to.
know, I'd say move, yeah, thank you, because I thought from, yeah, I'd say,
So
I mean,
was-
I mean, nobody's got a good idea.
So was the moving forward asking, like drafting an RFP
No,
for
no,
restoration?
our guys will take care of it.
I think,
Clean it up.
I think we can do that almost all in-house.
That's what I'm saying.
And then the 20 grand can go toward aluminum or making that
That's what I
torch
mean.
back
Yeah.
in shape.
Yeah, I'd say,
But who
yes,
does that?
Who does that work?
I'll have to look for a tin knocker, someone that
right.
can bend and
Yeah.
look at the material and say, oh, this is 26 gauge aluminum and I can buy it in rolls
Yep.
and it's $2,000 for 50 feet, whatever.
And
Yeah,
that
'cause-
does not have to go to RFP.
Well, you can call it professional services, but when it comes to tin knocking, I might have to look for somebody in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's it.
There's virtually,
But I'd say, at least move forward with it and have our guys
right.
do what they can.
And I'll get an assessment. I won't just go out and
No,
have
no,
it done.
no, no.
I'll put it in front of the
Yeah, because,
homes.
I mean, if that's the purpose and you want to go ahead and do that because nobody's stepping up to say we're going to do this grandiose plan.
I should
Sure.
let you know that I've received 5 letters from community members
Yeah.
on the condition of that torch.
Yeah, it's sad.
That's
Quick question, whose property is it on?
Town.
Okay, making sure, just
Yeah.
for the record, chief.
Yeah. You might want to call Lauren tomorrow and tell her that.
For the record.
All right, so
She disregards every record.
Who's this?
It's like,
Yeah, so that's a good project for this summer.
Okay.
Clean it up.
So then, I'll form a motion that says we accept initial allocations of Olympic torch restoration cosmetically for the base and the aluminum that needs fixing on the Olympic torch of 20,000. The camera IT estimate that came in to take care of toboggan slide, lacrosse area, beautification in airport area, landfill, town garage, Craigwood, and the town hall, main hall, for a watchful eye of the court, as well to the tune of 50,000. Emergency generators to allocate $15,000. For West Valley Sidewalk Engineering to the tune of $40,000. And St. Agnes Food Pantry for $10,000. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Jason, second. Dick, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Carried. Separate item, just so if you need to recuse yourself.
I just thought we were gonna not put it in there at all.
Did we decide no on Homestead or move forward with it? Personally, I am for moving forward.
That's just going into a general fund, so to speak?
Yes.
To reduce the costs of.
Yeah, in my initial talks with Steve, because I left Emily out because of recusal, was that it would help take care of debt, which in turn lets them move forward, whether it's a rolling loan, giving them 20 gets them 20.
I'm on board.
Yeah. Okay with it.
I mean, the point is just if we can we want to give them 20 grand.
Right.
So we can move forward with it and keep the price down to the future homeowner as much as possible.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
So I'll do that in a separate motion, homestead development, $20,000. Motion. Rick, second. Dick, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
I'm seeing.
We already know
We
that.
need-
For the record.
For the record.
Very good. Anyway, regardless of you recusing yourself. It is an impressive project, Emily. So, and I know the countless hours you put in to making it successful. And this is a small part we're playing,
Mhm.
but I want to be part of making it successful.
And I work with someone who has purchased a home and they're incredibly happy that they were able not just to find a place, because they were spending roughly the same amount just on an apartment. Now they have their own
Right.
home. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Sure. Yep.
All right. Budget adjustments. I guess Kathy, that means you are up.
Okay, hi. Before we start on the budget adjustments, I just want to say that we do have a reserve for the Olympic torch restoration, and there's approximately $10,400 in that. Just so you know.
Great.
That we can use it when it does happen. Yeah.
I'm sorry, and how much was it?
About $10,400.
Thanks, Kath.
Okay, so I will start with, I sent you guys an email with a whole bunch of stuff on it. The majority of what was on there was related to the budget adjustments, but there were two things that were not. One, well, more than two, three actually. The union pay scale letter, I'm assuming that you all had a chance to look at that. And
Yes.
Yes, we did.
what I would like to do, since you're good with the foreman wording for the description, is to add that to that letter, and then I'll have Derek sign it and we'll send it on to the union.
Sounds
That's good.
logical.
That's cool.
Okay. Second on that email that I want to just say, I spoke to Derek earlier, the Usherwood IT assessment, we'll postpone that to talk about at the workshop at the end of the month.
Okay.
And then the other item that was there is part of the budget adjustments is the auditor's proposal. I only received one response from, I sent out a request to 5 auditing firms. I got a reply saying from one of them that they don't do audits anymore. Nobody else replied except for EFPR Group, which I do like. We've worked with them before. They do a good job, but their proposal was between $47,000 and $52,000. So that will be part of the budget adjustments that I'm requesting tonight. And before we get into those, though, the personnel spreadsheet I sent everybody, that's for the toboggan chute, which they've opened. They were open this past weekend. So it's just a formality for you to approve those rates.
Yep.
So even though it's not on the agenda, I do need you to approve the personnel actions.
Why don't we do that right now while we're on it?
So
Moved by Jason, second by Dick. Any further discussion? I don't think any one of them is new. They're all returning.
They are all returning, yes.
Yeah, that bodes well for the crew, that's for sure. All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carried.
All right. So moving on to the budget adjustments, there were, if you were to print them out, 2 pages. The first page is what I believe will be the final adjustments for year-end 2022. I'm just going to refer to them as cleaning up the balances. None of it affects the fund balance for the end of the year. We're just taking money from unexpended lines and putting them into the lines that need to be approved for payment for this year, for tonight's audits.
Okay.
So unless anybody has any questions on that, I'm not gonna sit on those too long.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So the other page, the second page, is for this year, for 2023. And
Is that with the Nissan?
No.
right. So as I mentioned, one of them is going to be for the audit. We have put $15,000 in the budget, knowing that we needed to have what I thought was going to be a single audit, or what they call a program-specific audit for the airport grants. Unfortunately, because we also received the ARPA funding in 2022, we have to have a full financial statement audit. And that requires an increase of $37,000 in the budget. The second line was the Nissan Rogue. We decided that it was to our benefit to buy out the lease. The quote from Huddig is $19,483.25. I was told by Darcy and Mike that there's approximately just shy of 10,000 miles on that vehicle, so it really does make sense to buy the vehicle. We'll offset that with what we put in the budget for a new lease, which was $3,600.
Good.
So last year in the 2022 budget, we had placed $8,000 in the cemetery equipment line to buy a riding mower, which because of supply chain issues, they were not able to buy last year. So Kenny is asking for the board to approve adding that $8,000 back to this year's budget so that he may buy a riding mower for the cemetery.
Gonna need it.
And so if you all approve that, that would affect the general fund balance by
Watch out for
$60,883.
No, good.
Okay. The next line items were requests from Matt for Craigwood and the showgrounds, all of which were budgeted for, but again, due to supply chain and just inflationary costs, the pricing has gone up since he received the quotes, which, at this point, it's been approximately 4 to 5 months since he's received those quotes. And I put all the supporting information in the email for you all to look at.
Yep.
But the bottom line is that would affect the Park District fund balance by $2,700.
What bothers me about, Kathy, just one thing, what bothers me about one of those quotes is, they're not including, one didn't include delivery. Why
Right.
can't they get it right? I'm not saying we gotta hold it to them, but if you're gonna give a quote on something, we want the cost.
Right. I agree.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I make
that's it.
mistakes too, so,
No, but it's becoming more and more,
Yeah.
with the one thing that, $1,000 off, digit was off.
I have a feeling part of that, and it's not a good excuse at all, but one of the old time salesmen that worked with us for years, I think was letting these estimates go without a delivery price.
Okay,
There's a new salesman on. Matt says he's trying to break him in.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's just, we could easily say, hey, okay, if it's, $300 to deliver it,
Yeah,
we don't want it. I don't know how to do that. I'm just saying, give the proper.
just give it to us straight.
That's it.
Yep.
So in addition to those items that were on the spreadsheet, I missed a couple items for assuming the community beautification into the town. We needed to buy a monitor and a phone for the office for Sharice, and that was $421.31. And there's also going to be electricity charges billed to us by the village for that greenhouse. And for January, it was $96.02. So in the highway fund, I would need a budget adjustment of $517.33. I will email that information to you tomorrow. But if you could approve that for a budget adjustment, I would appreciate it. And before we finish the budget adjustments, I just want to say, and I don't know if you all remember when we work on the 2023 budget, that I do a projected fund balance for year end when we're working on the budget to kind of guess where we're going to be. As of today, our year-end fund balance for the entire town is $500,000 more than what I estimated when we were working on the budget. So we're in good shape. So,
Is it because of mortgage tax?
yeah, the majority of it. Yeah. So the general fund's up 100,000, the highway fund's up 142, and the park district's up 268. Higher than what I projected, but of course Raybrook is as we know, Raybrook is struggling right now, so that was actually lower. But overall, we're 500,000 to the good.
You can sleep easy tonight.
So we're starting in good shape.
Sorry, I always get on you about Craigwood. Sorry, Kathy.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate it.
We all do.
Yep.
The hamburgers on the bar be waiting for me.
There you go. Do you want us?
Yeah. So you want a motion for those budget adjustments?
Yes, please.
Make a motion including the beautification.
500 and yeah.
The beautification.
513,000 excuse me, $517 for the development.
There goes that surplus.
Good. All
That's my
right.
motion.
And I'll second it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Now you got it. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carried. What else you got, Kath?
Just so you guys approve the personnel and the budget adjustments, it's just the audits, and then I'm done.
Approve the audits.
What's that?
Approve the audits.
Approve the audits.
So moved.
Second.
We didn't move, it's three of them.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. No one opposed, carried.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy.
Committee reports. Anybody? You already went.
I already went.
All right.
Oh, I do have a website update.
Oh,
'Cause I'm
wow.
losing all patience.
It's gonna be ready in 3 months.
Today. So I had a good conversation with Patrick Wells, who has been kind of from the village. So who's been spearheading this, like, to get the permission from New York State to have this .ny.gov. Patrick's solution, which I feel like is brilliant, is to just so the Village of Lake Placid already owns and has permission to use Village of Lake Placid.ny.gov. So we're just gonna throw North Elba in front of that, and it will be North Elba. So the new website will be named North Elba Village of Lake Placid.ny.gov. And that way we don't have to ask, I mean, this has been held up for 3 months because, maybe more than 3 months, because New York State will not move on whatever.
recognition.
And so this way, we don't have to ask permission for anything because the village already owns it. And so it just becomes a subcategory. The whole details of that gets lost on me, but,
So it doesn't affect search or any of that?
no, and it will still, I said, Patrick, as long as you can.
If we, to give people our website, we have now say North Elba /
You're definitely-
Dash.
Village of Lake Placid.
Yes, I think we will win an
So,
award for the
what?
longest URL.
That's the longest, I have to actually.
No one cares what a URL goddamn name is, as long as it's out there.
Yeah, so the kids are
Just
typing in.
Google
Yeah, I was gonna say,
town
just
North-
Google it.
Google
Oh.
town of North Elba, Village of Lake Placid, it will
Yeah.
pop right up there.
Yeah, just Google it.
Give that our website, I can tell you not 40 times a day.
Just tell them to Google it, down North Elba.
Yeah, no, I have to say.
No, I would just say, why don't you Google it? And Google town North Elba, Village of Lake
Well,
Placid.
that's not it.
I've got,
Hold on, let me connect you to the voicemail. So based on that, there's some sort of detail that they need from Digital Topaz before they can move forward on the village side. That is the host of Digital Topaz is the host of the village website. Once they have that information, like hopefully we're within a week of launching the website. But we also want to give our department heads, just another heads up, like, make sure you like your page because it's gonna be live. So weekish. Weekish.
That's,
Better than nothing.
I just want to go to the Leaf meeting and say it's on.
I know, I
That's all I
talked
want.
to Jackie Kelly this morning.
And here, everyone write this URL down. N-O-T. Google.
all right.
I'll just Google it.
Any other committee reports? No? There's no press here.
Andy's on. Andy's
No,
here.
Andy.
I think you guys have done a great job on it.
And Andy's on.
Oh,
Quite informative.
sorry about that, Andy.
Quite thorough.
That's okay.
Yes, brother?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, boy, do I have lots of questions, but I'll just ask one. I can always follow up with a phone call. The LEAF presentation at the very beginning, like 4 hours ago, when MJ was here. I'm just joking around. I'm just joking around. The LEAF presentation, could you just remind me what that was about? Was that what she used was emergency fund request. Was that $13,000 going towards 73,000? Please explain that.
All right, it was an emergency request for a warming cabin to be placed over at the Oval, where, as you probably remember last winter, there were only 2 open lean-tos for people to sit, take their boots off and leave them in the cold weather and then skate and walk home. There was no warming hut. So this really isn't the end of the effort to supply a warming cabin, but in any respect, Roost, the village, and the town got together to jointly create a way to pay for that warming cabin over on the Oval property. The village, Roost, and the town are each contributing $13,000, which, totals 39. And we needed an additional 73 to pay for not only the temporary positioning of that warming cabin, but the permanent setting of it with electric and so on this spring, which equated to a total price of $112,000. So the 3 entities, and with the help of the LEAF money, will provide the community and visitors alike with a warming cabin on the Oval.
I just want to mention that sounds cool.
Now, with the LEAF, did you guys already approve the 13,000?
Yes.
You did. Was that tonight or was that a different night?
Yeah, when we were going through the ARPA funds.
We approved that.
Yeah.
We approved that prior.
Premature.
Yeah.
Hold on.
When the idea first came up, we talked about a joint venture.
Yeah.
And we approved our $13,000 from our COVID relief funds.
So should it be, I think it's important to know that no taxpayer funds are going towards this from the least in North Elba, because it's ARPA federal funds and then also LEAF
County.
funds.
So the $13,000 was coming from what funds? The federal funds?
Yes.
Yeah.
America was a
Recovery.
ARPA?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so $13,000 from ARPA. And what date did you approve that?
Oh, I'd have to go back, I think a month. It may have, when we first started talking about this was
It might have been November.
September?
I was
Is it
gonna
13th
say
the number?
October. I was gonna say October. We
Yeah.
approved, I think we approved it in November, maybe?
Could be.
It should be, it'll be in the
I-
minutes, right? I can always check the minutes,
We just approved.
Yep.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
so the balance of $73,000 request, was that an application for LEAF funds or was that actually approved?
Yes, that was an application
And approval.
and approval tonight. That's what
Application.
ended.
So it was a late application because the deadline was February 1st. So that's why the emergency fund request?
Yes, exactly.
So it didn't
Okay.
follow their funding schedule.
So
It was
what,
an an emergency funding request.
Gotcha. So it looks like we'll have a warming hut, right?
It's there.
It's there.
It's there, Andy.
Well, yeah, it's there, but you said it needs to
It's
be,
not.
in the spring, settled in and permanent, right?
Right.
Right. Um,
You want to mention?
Oh, I just wanted to mention that it's currently on school property, so the school is a partner as well.
okay, thank you. So as far as the regular leaf funding schedule, when will you go over those applications and do that approval? The ones that were due on the 1st of February.
The applications have been received, and tomorrow we have a Zoom Leaf Committee meeting, and we will decide when to have an actual meeting to go over the applications, probably within the next couple of weeks.
Great. Well, thanks.
As a committee.
Thanks for answering my questions. I want to say, just a side note, I think the LEAF funding program has done so much good for the community. And if you wanted to say something now on how you think it's transformed the community, I'd welcome those comments.
Well, just in finances that have been doled out, I don't think I'm too far off in saying $2 million has.
I'd say a little bit, just about 2 million, maybe just a hair more.
In three seasons.
Four.
Yeah.
In 4 seasons. And we've approved the Leaf Committee, and therefore with their recommendations, the town board has approved, projects all over North Elba, stretching, over to all the borders.
Yes, I understand that. It's wonderful. I'm just wondering what your personal thoughts were. If we didn't have this funding and we have it now, how has it benefited the community?
Oh my goodness, Andy. I mean, how could we go to the tax base and expect to ask them for $2 million over every 3 or 4 years to accommodate not-for-profit businesses that directly support the community? That would be a tough sell. And keep in mind, all this money comes from occupancy tax, where our visitors actually are the contributors to the benefit of the community. So it's really a wise use of the money. And from what I know of its origin, I believe the whole thought process came about from Roost and Jim McKenna's idea on how to allocate this extra 2% that the state legislature okayed as part of our occupancy tax overall. So it's an amazing program, and I don't know of another community that has such a legislative permission like we do.
I think it's a great program. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks for your help.
I'm good.
Well, you're good?
Yeah, I think it was a good thing to see you guys working it. I know you made jokes, but you guys work well together. It was good.
We do.
That's the social lubricant that we use here.
To get through the 4 hours.
Yeah, you guys have been here since before I got here.
It's a great committed board. We all serve on different committees. I don't know what we have now, 11 or 12 different committees, but everybody's in a different direction and gets to work on committees that they hold interest in. We try not to make anybody do any aspect that we really don't want to spend a lot of time on. And we all have different strengths. We feed off each other every month. Yeah. But thanks for coming. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, moving forward, I'm in need of a quick executive session to talk about personnel. I don't anticipate, just for you, Andy, I don't anticipate any decision out of this executive session. So you don't have to hang on, waiting if you want. And then after that, we'll go back into session and adjourn.
Who's make motion?
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session.
Second, Emily, all in favor? Yeah,
Nice to see you, Laura, and caller one.
thank you, Laura.
It's warm.
Who was caller one, do you know?
I have no idea.